Welcome back to the Sabrena Realty Hour, where we're talking all things real estate and community on Hot News Talk Radio, 1240 AM. Tell you, Mark, there's never been a better time to sell your home.
You're exactly right, Sabrena. I mean, not only are interest rates still low, but our local inventory is low.
It is the lowest it has been in years.
What
it
does
is
that mean?
unbelievable.
What does that mean for us?
That means that we have a shortage of homes on the market. And what that means is law of economics. Where there is less supply, there's higher demands. We're seeing sellers get higher sales prices. As you know, we listed one the other day and it showed 4 or 5 times that afternoon. We had 2 offers coming in that afternoon and more the next day. And this is what we're seeing. If sellers put that house on the market, they price it right. They listen to the professional they hire. They price it right and they have it ready to show. They're selling. Yep. They're selling quick. And our median sales price has gone up as well. Right now, I think it lingered around for several years at about 125 to 135, and now we're at 155. So we're seeing prices go up. And as you indicated, the interest rates are down. You can buy more house for the money. You can afford more because you have a lower interest rate. So it's a great time for sellers to put their house on the market. There's just a large variety of buyers out there to buy the homes. And for anyone that's thinking about selling their home, of course, who should they call?
Well, they should certainly call Sabrena Realty Associates. You know, somebody can get a lot more home than they could imagine for less than what most people are paying in rent.
That's absolutely correct. And rents are at a 15-year high. I mean,
which is good for the landlord.
It's good for the landlord, but why are we making our landlord rich? We should be investing in our own future. And when you buy a home, that's an investment. You can use that equity later on to buy something else when you sell that home. So it just makes sense to buy. And there's never been a better time to put your house on the market or to buy. So for anyone out there thinking about putting their house on the market, please call Sabrena Realty Associates. Our number is 423-499-7780. And we will remind you of that number again at the bottom of the hour. But I am so thrilled to have with us, speaking of selling your home, part of selling your home is getting it ready for the market, having it show ready, and having those great photos out there on the internet. You know, statistics show that 92% of buyers find their home on the internet. So when a home's listed on the multiple listing service or on any of these websites, Zillow, Trulia, Realtor.com.
SabrenaRealty.com.
Exactly. Those homes have to have a great presentation. That means we want superior photos on all those listings, which leads me into introducing our next guest, Connie Wilson. She's the owner of Iona 3 Photography. Connie is a professional photographer. We actually used her last week on a listing that we have in Frost Creek Farms there in East Brainerd. It's a fabulous home, by the way,
yes,
isn't it? But kind of tell us, Connie, just first of all, I'm just kind of curious, have you always been in photography, or is it something that you've gotten into recently, and kind of how you got interested in photography?
I've been doing it about 5 years now. I've had a passion for it most of my life, I can say. Just left some previous positions, administrative, assistant management, things like that, and just dove right into it because, like I said, I just love taking pictures. I love editing. I love getting the final result and giving my clients something they can keep forever, which is a memory of that moment that I capture for them.
Yeah. And what better way to capture a memory than through a photo? So
exactly.
Kind of tell me what your expertise or your forte is when it comes to photography.
I like to, in shooting people, for example, bring out their natural personality during a session. I don't want them to feel uncomfortable. I want to make them relax and make it an enjoyable experience for them.
Yeah, I would think there's an art to that, especially when you're photographing young children. I would think
it is. And sometimes they're not always cooperative or happy about getting their photos made. So it's always fun though.
Right. So, so you've been doing photography then for about 5 years.
That's right.
And started your own company. So are you finding that you're pretty busy, pretty booked?
Somewhat. As far as my family photography. It's, it's not always busy. There's busier times,
Right.
and slow times. So.
Well, now you're stacking up quite an impressive resume. Tell us about some events that you've had the opportunity to participate in and be the lead photographer in.
Well, I've been taking photographs for the Make-A-Wish East Tennessee for about 3 years, I think now, and I do Wish Children and Families, which is a very big passion for me because I believe in this organization very much, and what they do for these children that have life-threatening illnesses. Yeah. And I also shoot fundraising events for them, special events, things like that. I just recently did the Wish Bowl. Yeah. In Chattanooga, which is one of that's their second largest fundraiser of the year, and it was very successful and a lot of fun. We did a photo booth, football themed, based around the Super Bowl, so it was great. They had a great turnout for that, supporting Make-A-Wish.
So, are you doing weddings too?
I don't do weddings. I do everything but weddings. I've done a few weddings, but I believe you need to specialize in doing that and
I understand.
Have a backup shooter and things like that. So.
Okay. Well, and when it comes to real estate, I ask you a question. Why do professional photos matter when it comes to selling your home?
It's extremely important to have high quality images of your properties. For example, I myself, if I'm online looking for an item to buy, or I'm looking for a hotel room, if I see a poor quality photo, I'm not going to be interested in that. I'm going to move on to the next item or the next hotel. It's all about first impressions. And it's very important for a photo or an image to represent what you're photographing, especially in real estate photography.
Absolutely. That first impression is a lasting impression. I mean, it certainly is. So when you go into a home and you get ready to photograph it, let's just say that you're going on a listing with me today and we're just going out to talk to this seller, which we do. We give free consultations. And let's say you're going with me and we're going to advise the seller on what they need to do to get their home ready to put it on the market. Tell me some things that you would advise the seller to do to get their home ready for you to come in and take those professional photographs.
Well, in speaking with them, initially they would need to hopefully prepare the home before I even arrive. Yeah. This is going to save myself some time and them as well.
Right.
But for example, I've actually prepared a list of things that I give
I want you to go through it.
To them. On the exterior, for example, you're going to want to remove any items outside the home that don't belong there. Your vehicles parked in the driveway. Right. You want to move them. You want to show the home. You don't want to see the vehicles. Things like trash cans, trash, children's toys, plants that are dead, for example. That's an eyesore. Anything damaged, such as gutters or fences, you might want to consider replacing or repairing those.
Right.
Landscaping, mow the grass, trim the hedges. Mulch goes a very long way, and it's something inexpensive you can do to give a much better appearance of your yard and landscaping. Garage doors and outside doors, they need to remain closed as well.
Right.
Depending on the time of the year.
Especially the garages I see, because I find that 90% of people use their garages for storage.
They do.
Rather than parking in them. I
just heard something mentioned about that the other day, and you're exactly right. I have many family members that do that very thing. And it's sometimes important to schedule ideal weather on the outside when I'm shooting the outside of a home, because sun, very few clouds, that's going to give the best lighting, as opposed to a very cloudy and dreary day and dark day. On the interior, you're going to want to clean. It doesn't have to be spotless, but you need to have a clean home. It's going to make a big difference in those photos. Bathrooms, you're going to want to put away any personal belongings, such as toothbrushes, soap dispensers. These are things that typically people wouldn't think about, but it is important when you're looking at the image. You want to see the home. You don't want to see the little things that are cluttering up the rooms, and things like that are really important. So, as I said, the owner of the home needs to go through my checklist and go to each room and make sure those things are put away out of sight.
One thing that sellers need to do too when you're in the bathroom is close that toilet seat.
Exactly right.
Close the lid.
Yes.
And those need to be down for showings as well.
And trash cans. You don't want trash cans in there.
Right. And empty the trash cans.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
and kitchens, things like food on the countertops, dishes in the sink, countertops, tables, get rid of the dishes. No cleaning supplies,
Right.
brooms, mops, anything like that. You don't want that out as well either. Now, things like flower arrangements or fresh fruit baskets, those are acceptable if you want to sit them on tables or
and those add some color too, right?
They do.
I would think
they do, and it's a nice touch. It makes it look homey and everything. So things like burning candles, get rid of them. That's something you also don't want, and you don't want a lot of strong scents or smells in the home. You actually don't want any scents in the home when people are coming to look at your home.
That's true. Unless it's a fresh baked apple pie.
I could go for some of that.
that has a way of making them feel like they're at home.
Yes, so. It does. The windows, you want the windows to be clean and have a neat appearance. Window sills, get everything off the window sills. If your blinds are really dirty, clean the blinds. But they're going to remain open. It's going to bring in natural light, and you want to see the windows because they accentuate the appearance of a room. Let me say that correctly there. And they need to be undamaged. If there's any unattractive objects in the room, just get them out of sight. The bedrooms, you want to make the beds, make sure they're made neatly, get rid of any extra pillows or blankets, clothing, shoes, things like that, put them in the closets. Anything on the nightstand tables, any clutter that's in the room, you need to get rid of that. Pets, very important. Keep your pets out of sight during a photo shoot. Yeah. Anything that the pets have, like their beds, food bowls, toys, get all of that out of sight.
Exactly.
And don't leave the pets in the house. When I'm there taking photos. So, another important thing is rearranging furniture in a room and making sure that it looks like it belongs in the space that it's utilizing. You don't want the furniture to be cramped together. You don't want too much furniture. If you see a lot of extra pieces of furniture, just temporarily move them out for photo purposes. And
that makes sense. That makes sense. So you almost want to have each room staged to a degree.
Yes. Staging is something that definitely needs to be done. And the lighting, make sure all of the light bulbs are in working order. Any burned out bulbs, replace them, because when I shoot each room, I'm going to turn on all of the lights, or at least most of them, depending on how the light's going to reflect and best represent the appearance of that room.
Right.
So the cabinets in the kitchen, not the countertops, declutter. Exactly. Put away the cookie jar and the sugar jar and all that, and just kind of don't have it so busy. Same thing with the kids' rooms. Teenagers can have so much going on, posters on the wall, 20 different trophies. Should they kind of, at least for the photos, temporarily declutter that?
Yes, you should. And another thing that you just mentioned was something I'd like to point out as far as photos, your family photos. A few here and there are okay, but you want to also remove most of those for the photos. People want to go into a home and imagine themselves in there, not the family that's currently occupying the home. They want to see it as their potential future home. So a lot of family pictures, an overabundance of those in each room is not a good idea. So.
Yeah, you almost have to get the emotional attachment out of it when you get ready to sell it. And I've said this. I said this last week. One thing I find when I'm showing a home, and there's a lot of family photos on display, you will find that when you're taking the buyer through that home, that they're distracted. They're not focusing on the floor plan, or they're looking at those pictures, wondering, "Hey, do I know anybody that lives here?" And it's hard to get them back on course and get them focused on looking at the layout of the home. You were talking about lighting, and I have a question because, one thing I noticed when I do my own photos of a home, and let's say I'm taking a photo of a dining room, and you've got a window in that dining room. I've noticed that sometimes when the natural light is coming through that window, it makes the picture dark. So I'm just kind of wondering, what do you like to do when it comes to light like that? I mean, are you shutting the blinds, or?
No, it depends. If I'm in the room and I've got the sun coming directly through, I'm going to stand in a place in the room where it's not coming directly onto my camera,
Mm-hmm.
because it's gonna produce the sun's rays in the lens. However, I have taken shots directly into a window with the light, whether I have a subject in front of it or not.
Mm-hmm.
I just simply adjust my camera to the right setting. And I bounce my flash off of the ceiling, for example, or left or right, or wherever I need to do it, depending on how the light's coming into the room.
Now, when you get to your computer and you go to upload photos you've taken of a home, kind of walk us through the editing process and how you get those picture perfect photos. I'm not real familiar with any of the editing sites. That's why I'm just curious.
Well, I do use Photoshop, and I basically do a simple crop, lighting and contrast adjustment if necessary. Sometimes I will increase the contrast to bring out the colors just a little bit more if they're not brought out in the exposure. And I'm a perfectionist.
Yeah.
Any of my clients or anyone that knows me knows I notice every little detail. If I see something in the backdrop, I will get rid of it with a tool in Photoshop, because I just feel like it's a distraction to what I want people's eyes to go to in the photo. That's what I'm going to accentuate and highlight in that image. So I have to frame them right. If it's crooked, I've got to get it perfect. So I do spend a lot of time editing, but I love it. I mean, I have a passion for it. I like doing that almost as much as taking the pictures.
Yeah, well, that's really good. I would think that you would have to have a passion to be real good at it, because I would think it's a form of art.
I think it is. I really do.
To be really good at it, because you have to have that vision. And to me, that requires a natural ability. As far as, I'm finding that more and more agents also are using drones, especially when they're listing like a farm or something like that, a unique property. Let's say it's a house with some land maybe on the river, and you're really, really wanting to show those features. Have you toyed around with using drones or anything like that, or is that something that you foresee you doing in the future?
I don't really know at this point. I know a little bit about the drones. I know that they're good for shooting aerial videos,
right?
Which is something obviously I can't do unless I had. A camera couldn't do unless it's in a drone. But the aerial videos and images of the surrounding property on a larger scale, I think they're good for that. It can show the community that the house is placed in, local, bodies of water, for example, or, businesses that you're close to. Sometimes people like to see the proximity and the distance that they are going to be living from. Other than that, I just, at this point in time, I don't plan on using them. It's not to say I won't consider it in the future.
Right.
I know that, there are some safety concerns, privacy concerns that some people have mentioned about it. The FAA, for example, if you bring a drone within a certain amount of distance to an airport, you're going to get slapped with a pretty big fine. So you might want to check out the airport location of a home if you're going to use a drone, just for that reason alone. Right.
And we were told kind of a funny story the other day about a guy kept flying his drone over this lady's house, and she warned him, stop flying the drone over my house. So she just shot it down.
Oh my goodness.
And he was taking her to court. So it's going to be interesting to see how that story ends. But you definitely have to be careful, and you better make sure that you have the right to use that drone and permission.
Yes, you do have to have permission.
Now, let me ask you this, because you touched on, the aerial photography is good for showing the community and, adjacent land features and stuff like that. When you go into a neighborhood, are you trying to tell a story? Let's say that you go into a neighborhood that's a golf community that has community ponds and maybe some unique features that every neighborhood doesn't have. As a photographer, are you going into that subdivision? Are you trying to tell a story and take those additional photos, in addition to the photos of the home? Is that something that you do?
If a home is in a community such as that has amenities, maybe a community pool or tennis court, for example, golf range or whatever, golf course. Yes, I do include that actually in what I charge. I do it by square footage of the home. But if those amenities are included, I will include that at no extra charge. I do think that is kind of important if a buyer of a home is looking for those.
Right.
So I do want to represent that.
Right.
Telling a story, I guess it might tell a story. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I just know the most important thing is representing each room in the home and what that room is going to feel like when if you see yourself living in that home. I want the photos to show the most that it can possibly show. And
so, and I'm glad to hear that. So when you're taking a photograph of a room, you're showing a true representation of that room. And I say that because there's nothing that irks me more than to go out to show a house. Mm-hmm. And I've looked at the photos, and the exterior photos looks like it's sitting on a level lot. Mm-hmm. And and even in the description, it says that it's a level lot or maybe has gradual slope, and you get out there and the house is located on a steep hill. Uh-huh. And you think, wow, man, that realtor climbed a tree to take that photo. So, I mean, I always appreciate a true representation of a property, mm-hmm. The exterior and the inside. And is that what you're doing, a true representation? You're not editing to a degree where...
No, I want the images to show what the home is actually like. It's not going to be a false representation whatsoever.
That's good.
I like to take all 4 angles of the exterior of the home. Mm-hmm. If there is a considerable sized driveway, the garage doors, the side of that house, I'm going to take it from the road, an angle from that side. I'm going to go on the right side. I'm going to do it directly from the front to show the buyer this is what you're getting. So they're not going to be in for a big surprise once they go to see the home in person.
That's good. So you basically accentuate the true features.
Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
That's good. That's good. And I'm kind of curious, for anyone listening out there, they may be wondering just how expensive it is to hire a professional photographer. Do you have a price list, or can you share with us kind of what seller may be looking at spending if they bring in a professional photographer?
For example, if you have a home up to 2,000 square feet, it's $100. I include the interior and exterior, and as we spoke about, any property amenities that may be included at no extra charge. They're going to get an online gallery with the share option, as well as an instant download of all the images. 48-hour turnaround is usually less, but that's what you'll get to get the images edited and sent back to you. You're going to get the full image usage rights. And the average shoot is going to take 45 minutes to 2 hours, dependent upon the size of the property. But my prices starting at 2,000 up to 2,000, as I said, is 100, and then 2,000 to 4,000 is 120, 4,000 to 6,000, 140. Anything beyond 6,000 is going to be 160 and up.
Okay, so your price is based on the square foot of the home, right? The square feet of the home. So just an idea about how many photos does that include usually per property?
I think the average real estate photographer quotes you anywhere between 15 and 20 images. I don't like to quote a certain number of images because I don't think you can really do that, depending on the size of a home. Now, if it was just a 2,000 square feet, maybe.
Right.
But I take several of each room. I'm showing it from different angles.
Right.
And that way, the agent like yourself, you can choose what you want to represent the home that you're listing.
Right.
So I don't really have a number. I take a lot of photos.
Right. So if a property needs 50, you're going to take 50. And I that makes more sense to me because you may, if it's a neat feature or a unique amenity, you may want to take 5 or 6 shots of just that feature. And so that makes more sense that you would price in terms of the square feet of the home. For anyone that's thinking about putting their home on the market that wants to hire a professional photographer, tell them how to get in touch with you, Connie.
They can give me a call at 423-364-5595. And they can visit my website, which is iana3photography.com.
Right.
That's spelled AYANA, the number 3, photography.com.
Now, do you do a free consultation if they need, let's say that they want to hire you, but they want you to come out and tell them how much you're going to charge and maybe make some recommendations to get their home presentable? Do you do that?
I can do that, or I can, give them my checklist that we discussed earlier to give them an idea of what they might need to do.
And that's smart to have that checklist. I have one of those as well. Mm-hmm. Well, you may want to join us. We are having a buyer seminar, and this might be good for you as well, but we're going to be talking, I call it a buyer seminar. It's also a seller seminar, and it's going to be Thursday, March the 3rd at 6705 Ballard Drive. We're partnering with People's Home Equity, and we're going to be talking to anyone thinking about selling their home, downsizing, thinking about buying a home, investing in real estate. We're going to be giving pointers that day. So it's going to be a great. It's at Hickory Valley Retirement Center. So you might want to come join us, 6705 Ballard Drive. And that's Sabrena Realty Associates. For anyone thinking about putting your home on the market, buying a home, please call us. We have a great team that would love to hear from you. Professional, been in the business for years. You can reach us at 423-499-7780 or visit our website at sabrenarealty.com.